Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Monday. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. I hope you all made it to a church, a Bible preaching church, just where you got encouraged, filled, challenged, pricked by the word, um, and you were washed, right? Washed with the word. Um, I mean, I was. It was a challenge for me, um, but it was really just church. Anyway, so it is currently 69 degrees, going to be high of around 80 with some afternoon thunderstorms. Um, 9:16 a.m. is the moon set, and the moon rise is at 10:47. So, going back to Friday, the moon set was at 5:32, and the moon rise was at 9:38. So a big shift in the moon's rising and falling, or falling and rising, and it's a waning gibbous. So the um, if you're looking at a picture of the moon, the right side is going to be shadowed out a little bit. So we're starting to study Job. We're in Job chapter 1, and in Job chapter 1, we the author tells us a little bit about Job, and we see that first of all, he's a man that was blameless and upright, one who feared God and turned away from evil. Okay, so first off, we see his character. Okay, um, first of all, he has fear of the Lord. Okay, he fears God, and that's the first step to anything. That's the beginning of knowledge, as it says in Proverbs. Um, he is blameless and upright. So that means um, he nobody in the community has anything against him, right? There's no ought against him. He's blameless. He's honest, right? He's his and he's upright, and that means kind of like together they kind of mean the behavior matches the heart. Okay, the behavior matches the heart. So so nobody again has anything against him in the community, and his behavior matches his heart, right? Because out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks, right? And so that uprightness, that shows the heart through your behavior. And he's repentant. Okay, he turns away from evil. He sees evil, turns away from it. He does something that's sin, turns to God for it. We see he's wealthy. He's got his 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 5,000 yoke of oxen, 500 female donkeys, servants, blah 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 blah. The kingdom, right? So we do have to be careful, because one would think if you're blameless and upright and you're repenting of sin and you're doing all the things you're supposed to, you should live comfortably, right? Well, that's prosperity gospel. Just because you're doing all that for everything to be right in the world, as my Albert Mohler commentary says, for everything to be right in the world, we have to live this kind of way, and that's prosperity gospel. If you live this way, you will get this. Well, that's not true. Okay, that's not true. However, the kingdom, right? The kingdom, the people of God, um, in the kingdom, the people of God, there needs to be um, some wealthy people. Okay, there's nothing wrong with being wise financially and amassing wealth so that you can give more to the church, right? So that you can help more people. There, there's really nothing wrong with that. What's wrong with that is falling in love with the money that you amass, and that turning into your god, right? You can't serve two gods. But if you're serving God with your finances and giving it away, and you happen to amass more, that's actually what happened in my life. I started giving more, and he started giving more. You can't outgive God, right? Um, and third, he prayed for his children, right? He prayed for his children. Verse 5, after they had a feast, he would send and consecrate them, and he would rise early in the morning and offer burnt offerings according to the number of them all, meaning his children. For Job said, "It may be that my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Right? Because man can't see inside the heart. We can see the behavior, right? But still, there's hypocrisy. And so he's making intercessions for his children, because he knows we're bound to sin, right? It doesn't say that Job is sinless. It just says he turns away from evil, right? He's repentant. And so if he knows that he is apt to sin, he also knows that his children are apt to sin. So he's making intercession for them, kind of priestly in that sense, right? Being the intermediary for his children. All right, then, so now, right, we see the scene. The scene is in heaven, and this is verse 6, and the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. Now, the sons of God is angels. And so a lot of us, we think God only had one son, right? Because of John 3:16. For he sent his only begotten son. Yep, it's not that, it's his one and only son, okay? It's his number one in the hierarchy, right? In the hierarchy of his sons, Jesus is the number one in that sense. But he wasn't the only son, okay? It clearly says, now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan, okay? Satan, also known as the accuser or the adversary, came as well. Then the Lord said to Satan, from where have you come? Now notice what we see here. So Satan has access to heaven and earth. He goes between both. And he's still, for Satan, he's still in his same age. He's gone from this dispensation, or that dispensation at the time of the patriarchs of the garden, to the patriarchs. He'll end up going through the judges, kings, prophets, the restoration of the temple, the quiet period. Well, the Maccabees, the Roman takeover, right, to Jesus' time. He's there to tempt Jesus, and all the way through, and he's still here now, and he has the same access. Okay, the same access. Then, one of my dogs is scratching. Sorry. It says, he answered, from going to and fro on the earth, and from walking up and down on it. I put a little question here. Do you think Satan leaves footprints? Because for him to be walking on it, that means he must have a physical form, right? And so can Satan go from a physical form to a spiritual form? Can he cross the realm? Right, essentially is the question. From this, we might be able to make that consideration. Okay, maybe he does cross the realms. Maybe he does leave footprints. Um, or is he just talking about in being in the spiritual realm, walking on the earth? But I'll tell you, when he was in the garden as a serpent, he was a physical being that could be touched. He was a physical being that could be touched. Okay, so, and the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? And here's a hint of what God looks for in us, what we should be showing, right? Have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil? I mean, it sounds so simple. That's what we're supposed to be, a blameless and upright person. The community has nothing against us. Our heart, our behavior matches our heart. And when we sin, we turn away from it. When we see evil, we turn away from it. Sounds so simple, right? It's not that simple, but that's it. Yeah, my sick kid came down. I'm gonna have to, after I finish this, go get her some Tylenol so she can fall back asleep. So that's what we're supposed to be, right? Not sinless, but repentant, right? Our manner of conversation matches our heart, and our heart, it essentially should be full of fear of the Lord. It should be full of fear of the Lord. So then Satan answers the Lord and says, does Job fear God for no reason? Right? So Satan, here's the thing, Satan wants to find hypocrisy, right? He wants to see if he can find hypocrisy in a believer. And that's what he's looking for as he torments the earth. Okay, there's a lot revealed here in this first. I mean, we're only 9 verses down, about how the enemy works, what God's looking for in us, their dialogue. Now check this out. Does he fear God for no reason? Have you not put a hedge around him and his house and all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and possessions, and have increased in the land. Okay, so Satan is bringing it to the prosperity level. Okay, he's only faithful to you because of all the good things you've given him. But then he says, look, but stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face. So then the Lord says to Satan, behold, all that he has is in your hand. So Satan says, stretch out your hand against him. God gives him over to Satan. Satan is acting as God's hand. Isn't that something? Satan is acting as God's hand in this case. See, God doesn't cause us to sin, but he will put us through fiery trials. Yes, he will. And Satan will be his hand to do it. Okay? Satan will be his hand to do it. And the Lord said to Satan, behold, all that he has is in your hand, only against him do not stretch out your hand. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. All right, and then the rest of the chapter is essentially the fall of Job, going into chapter 2 until Job's friends come along. That's probably where we'll pick up. You guys can read about all the things happening, but I do think it's ironic. it's not ironic. It's the way Satan works is he always leaves somebody to rub it in, right? Somebody's gonna he. There always was a messenger that came back and told Job what was what, right? And so Satan leaves somebody to kind of prick it on you, um, and I find if you process that, see if that's common in your walk. If, and sometimes you find it on your own too, I guess. But all right, you guys have a wonderful day. Um, read it for yourself.